Hi everyone, back. So, I was talking to some of you outside. Yeah, a little overwhelming, right? Everything we've talked about. We've looked at a new design, a new user management panel. We've looked at email, a news reader, a locker, a social hub. We looked at a redesign of the express auctions. We looked at a future for them. And we looked at the mall and all its changes. And we looked at the entertainment section, which is now a section in the store. It's exciting stuff. It's all coming together. Can't believe how much so it's coming together. It's becoming a whole product. And now what we have to do is take this whole product and put it in the hand of everybody in the world. And the only way that's going to happen is through mobile interfaces. But it turns out that for us to support the growth that's going to come from that, we have to make sure that our infrastructure is capable of handling the growth that such a move is going to make. Because right now we basically went from 20,000 to 158,000 auctions, 53,000 auctions in say 8 weeks, right? So that's roughly 6 times in 8 weeks on the web. If we add a mobile component to that, I wouldn't be surprised that could be double or triple 6 times. It would be it would be a formidable scale to handle. And also, we don't simply want to build mobile interfaces that simply present the current product in mobile devices. We're certainly going to do that. So you'll be able to go to your entertainment shop, you'll be able to look at the mall, you'll be able, of course, to participate in the auctions and so on. We're certainly going to do that, of course. But mobility means actually a little more than that. Mobility means also taking advantage of those little computers we all have in our pockets now that are capable of doing so much more. And in particular, these little computers actually have a social component that we need to tap into, and they also have a location component that we need to tap into. So it's a lot more than simply presenting the mobile interfaces. And of course, the challenge there is that not all phones are equal. I'm sure you've had already challenges where some browsers behave in a particular way on your desktop and some browsers behave in a different way on your desktop. Well, imagine having that problem but multiplied by 15,000. Right? There's all these models of phones, and in particular in emerging markets, because in first world markets, it's polarizing now. It's either an Apple device or an or an Android device. In emerging markets, certainly those two platforms are there, but then there's these other fragmented options that we have to deal with. And so we have a strategy that we worked out to do this, which is we're going to build, the first thing we're going to build is a mobile browser application. So that means that you'll be able, from your mobile phone, go to DubLi.com or m.dubli.com, and you'll be able to see the mobile interfaces for the current products in the portal. And that will include everything in the portal. So it will be your personalized homepage, it will be your email, it will be your locker, and it will, of course it will be the auctions, entertainment, and so on. Now that is what we could call a basic mobile experience, in the sense that it's simply access to the information in the portal through the mobile device. And so we're going to do that because the advantage of doing that is that basically it's safe to say now every phone in the world can support that mode. So that gives us a way to enter any market that we want in a reasonable way. Once we have that, what we intend to do then is to package as downloadable applications for the specific platforms as we find that they're important for particular markets. So a couple of obvious ones, of course, is the Apple platform, so we're going to have that. And of course the Android platform, we're going to have that. And we're going to first develop them as very common, very similar applications, both for the Apple platform and for the Android platform. And then, as we gain traction, then we'll do specific applications that now take further advantage of the specific phone that the application happens to be in. You can see that this is a stepwise process that will take us to a point where we have the best possible mobile experience in each device. But that simply cannot happen overnight. And also, don't forget, the mobile market is incredibly dynamic. And there is change all the time. And different markets are very different than others. So that's the strategy we're going to take. And I wanted to show you, we already have a version of this running, and we've tested on a few devices and things are going forward. So what I wanted to show you was how that's looking and see if I can get your reaction. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah. See if I can warm this up. So we're showing it in an Apple device, just basically because it renders them so beautifully. You can see that there is a header at the top, and there's two buttons that are always there. The search and that little three-line button on the right, that basically opens up a menu. So it's a similar menu that you would find on the website. It's hidden behind the current screen. So when you touch that button, the screen slides over and you get to see a menu. If you touch the other side, that opens up and it gives you the standard search bar that you will find on the different DubLi products. Well, I don't even know how to warm this up, Michael. We've also taken a strategy of stepwise adding features to the mobile application. So I think it's important that we get into this idea that the mobile application is really a program. We're going to have an initial application that's going to cover some devices and some functions. And over time, we're going to add devices and functions as they are reasonably required. And so the very first thing we're going to do is express auctions on the mobile. We think there's a huge opportunity there that you can carry this express auction with you and basically bid from wherever you want. And there's a lot of, yeah, that's fun. Yeah. That's terribly exciting because I think you can take the auctions to wherever you want. You don't have to be anchored to your desktop, and you can take it with you. And that also brings about a ton of opportunities, and this is something I also want to leave you with. That mobile is more than looking at it on the phone. Imagine if anytime you win an auction, there was an audible ring that was specific to DubLi. Let me ask a question. How many of you remember the original Nokia ring? Remember? Raise your hands. Right? You could recognize it, right? You hear it, and you know it was a Nokia phone, and it was in somebody's pocket. So we're going to take a melody, we're going to brand it, DubLi, and every time you win an auction, that melody will play, informing the people around you that you just won an auction. And we're hoping that's going to be a conversation piece. We're hoping that that's going to bring people together in understanding what just happened. Isn't that exciting that you can be in a cafe and hear this? Very nice. Also, the more and more services we add to DubLi, the more and more those services are going to want to contact you to notify you something. For example, you have a new email. For example, a particular article of a topic that you're interested in was posted on your news feed. Or so-and-so friend just posted a photo on Facebook. Or you've won an auction. These are notifications that are going to come more and more as we add more and more services. So if we have you download the application to the device, we can actually push those notifications to your device and get them to vibrate. Now DubLi is calling your attention to go to it, and not as it is right now that it always has to be consumer originated. That's very, very exciting. Okay? That's going to bring traffic in, and it's very important. So the first thing we're going to do is look at express auctions and notifications. And the very next thing we're going to do is look at the mall. And the reason is that the intersection between the mall, the local information that can be gathered from the devices, and the capabilities of the devices to scan the codes of physical products, that combination of things is incredibly powerful. One that we've already talked about is this idea that you could be at a store, look at a physical good, scan its UPC code, and then get that product in the DubLi mall and decide if you prefer to buy it on the DubLi mall. That's incredibly exciting. You can be at a store and direct the demand to the DubLi mall and have the store be the thing that's showing you the physical product. That is incredibly exciting. And not to mention the fact that you'll be able to store it in your wish list and all of these other things. So you bring the physical aspect of commerce with the e-commerce elements that DubLi brings into the picture. So that's one that I think we've talked about, but there's a whole bunch of other things that have come up recently that are worth exploring. For example, in Toronto recently, a company from some friends of mine have taken over a subway station. Imagine that you're in the metro, in the tube, okay? And in the wall, in the advertising in the tube, what you see is pictures of products as if they were in a supermarket. You see, in fact, the lines of products. You see soap, and you see toothpaste and other things. And they look as if they were in the supermarket with no volume, of course. You can imagine it be an image. And each product has a little code on it. And so people, while they're waiting for the train to come, are basically doing their groceries, because they're looking at this ad, and they're pointing to the different codes and building up a grocery list, and then that gets delivered to their home. Imagine if that was possible and tied into all of the e-commerce features that we're offering in the DubLi experience. I think that could be tremendously exciting. So no applause. Yeah, it's the end of the day for all of us. It's been a very packed day. And then there is another element that we've yet to completely understand, but that we know its power. It's this idea of bringing people together as overlapping a social layer on auctions. So Michael was telling me before that there is these online places where people are discussing the dynamics of the specific auctions. So for example, people connect through chat rooms and Skype and say, hey, let's go to this room or that room because the bidding here is better than there. How do we bring that to the physical world, to a cafe environment? How do we bring that to the social connections that happen around the benefits that DubLi provides? So we don't know exactly what shape that takes, but it's obvious that these elements are going to make the DubLi mobile experience different than simply looking at the information and perhaps acting on them on the phone. So three things I want to leave you with. We are attacking it in stages. First, a mobile version that has broad range and limited capabilities, because that's what the phones provide. A second stage in which we're going to have a general application with more capability that's going to work on most of the phones, but not all of the phones. And then, for specific phones that have specific capabilities, then we're going to write specific applications for those that take full advantage of the capabilities of the phone and let us then venture into these location-based things and social-based things. Okay? That's number one. Number two is we're going to take it in stages in terms of functions. We are going to first do auctions. It's just an obvious decision. And then from that, we're going to do mall. And then the other pieces in an order that we're yet to define. I hope that gives you an idea that that's going to happen. And the third thing I want to leave you with is mobile isn't simply looking at the information on the phone. Mobile is how do we capture the dynamics of the personal device in a real place for DubLi's advantage. Thank you.